Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to episode 41 now. Is that what I just said? 41? Does that make sense?
I believe so.
I think it's 41. We'll just call it that. And anyway, welcome to the show, Coder Startup Podcast. You just heard we have Carter, the Marketer Johnson, back on with us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Can't complain. So, yeah, let me just double check those. You know what? I'm going to just call it 41 and be done with it. So, today we are going to be talking a little bit about Facebook ads. I don't think I went through the sort of the archives of our show, and I couldn't find any explicit titles referring to Facebook ads. Have we ever talked about Facebook ads specifically?
I feel like we have, but it's been a while.
Yeah, I
and
feel
one
like
thing one thing that's awesome about all these platforms, awesome and a curse, is that they change so much that something 6 months later is irrelevant.
That's right. So that's what we're going to be focusing on a little bit today. I'm going to preface it by saying right now, I actually don't have any Facebook ad campaigns running for one main reason. The one main reason is that, typically speaking, it's a bit expensive now to advertise with Facebook. I'm finding that the average cost per lead acquisition with Facebook is much higher than, like I was talking about before, with YouTube ads. My YouTube ads have been getting sub $2 leads. Facebook is crawling up to like $3 and $4 and $5 per lead. So I actually paused all my campaigns. So why then are we doing an episode on Facebook ads? Good question. I mean, it depends on you and your business, of course. It depends on what your ROI is in terms of the conversion rates that you have in your business. So, for a lot of people out there, it's very profitable still to run Facebook ads, even though they're a bit more expensive. Any money in giving you more money out is something that you should invest in. So having said that, for those of us like myself who aren't feeling like it's that profitable running a typical Facebook ad campaign, I want to talk a little bit more about the more advanced Facebook ad tactics. So really, I guess we should call this session the Advanced Facebook ad campaign talk, or whatever you want to call it. So the first one I want to start off with is one that I've seen and heard about over and over again. Everybody and their brother uses it, and I only recently started using it when I ran my flash sale back in August and saw success with it. And that is the retargeting campaigns. We've talked about retargeting before. If you don't remember what retargeting is, all it is you take a snippet of JavaScript code, put it on your website, whatever page or all the pages, whatever you want to put it. You can put it in there and track who lands on the pages. It links them up with the Facebook profile, because usually people are logged into Facebook, so it can figure out who they are. And then they're sort of flagged. They're flagged, or they're pixeled, is what Facebook says, so the terminology that they use. Once you pixel someone, you can retarget that person, meaning you can send an ad, you can create an ad and pay for that ad to appear on that person's Facebook news feed or mobile news feed or sidebar ad, whatever the case may be. That is the power of retargeting. So there's two types of pixels that you can create. This is one sort of stumbling block for people. One is like the Facebook sort of pixel, like traffic pixel. So it's the one, there's only one of those. You create one globally. It's like the traffic pixel. You copy paste that into wherever it is that you want to, really retarget people. There's a second pixel known as a conversion pixel. That's one that you can create many variations of, and you can use it to track actual conversions, whether it's a conversion to a sale or a conversion to someone sign up for your email list, conversion for maybe someone just adding something to your shopping cart, whatever the case may be. You can create tons of those, and you can assign different dollar amounts for each of those. But what I want to talk about right now is the first one, the traffic pixel. So I put the traffic pixel on every single page on my blog, on my web page. I want to know wherever those people land, I want to be able to pixel them, because that's one level of retargeting. So what I want to talk about, I'm kind of going all over the place here, is sort of the different levels of retargeting, because retargeting is actually a fairly broad term that you can use, but I want to talk about specific strategies and tactics that you can use with respect to retargeting that will give you the ROI that you're probably looking for. So first level of retargeting, actually there's probably three. First is with cold traffic, completely cold traffic, people that you've never really that don't know anything about you at all. What I've been hearing from, do you listen to the Perpetual Traffic podcast?
I don't.
No. For you guys out there, I'm pretty sure it's called Perpetual Traffic. This is directly where I'm lifting this strategy from, but I figured, if you're not listening to it, then you might not be aware of the strategy. Let me just pull it up on my podcast app, my whatever it is called, and make sure that I know that, yeah, Perpetual Traffic, and this is by Digital Marketer. I love Digital Marketer. I have a love affair with them at the moment. So check out their podcast. Very, very well worth listening to. So to summarize this first strategy to cold traffic, it's you actually advertise to maybe like a lookalike audience. So that's something that we'll get into, but you can advertise to a lookalike audience, a large group of people, like 2 million people, and get them to go to one of your articles, one of your blog articles, maybe your most popular one, most likely your most popular one that really shows your true colors, your best work. You pay to send them to an article. Now, that article is not a typical lead page. A very popular strategy with Facebook and with all paid advertising, direct response marketing, is to send them directly to a lead page. So you pay for traffic, send them, and you collect their email address. This is actually a different strategy, different approach, because what usually happens when you use like I said, we'll talk about lookalike audiences in a bit. When you use a lookalike audience, typically those are people who've never heard from you before. That's cold traffic.
Well, and let's step back and talk about what you're doing. Yeah, you're giving value first.
That's right.
No one lands a one visit sell. Have you ever heard of? You know what I mean? Like that's asinine to even think that whatever you're selling is good enough to have somebody stop dead in the tracks and be, oh gee golly, I've never heard of this person, but I'm gonna give $200 for what it is they're selling. That's stupid. Like think about your last 5 or 10 purchases. I guarantee you, at the very least, you the first time you saw it, you X'd out or you bookmarked it or something like that, and you kept visiting it over and over just while it was marinating in your mind. So what you're doing, bringing it back to what you're saying, Trevor, is you're delivering value first. Mm-hmm. You're not asking for a sell. You're not making a big ask. So keep going.
Yeah, it's true. I'm so focused. You can hear me. I get so excited about this stuff. I'm just focused on tactic right now. Whereas
I'll bring it back
stop and talk about the bigger picture, the strategy behind it.
That's good.
So the purpose of it is, yes, you're delivering value first, because you can't, even just taking someone who's cold, who's never heard of you before, and even trying to ask for their email address in exchange for some kind of value, it's still not that successful. That's what a lot of people are doing, and they're not seeing that much success. So this is like, the old way of doing it was you send them directly to a sales page, like Carter was just saying. You've never heard of me before. Hey, buy my $200 product. Back in the 90s, that used to work. Okay, because internet was new, people weren't aware that there's scammers out there who will steal your money and not give you anything in return. So eventually, people sort of got used to that and stopped buying things from people they don't know. I should turn off my cell phone. So then the next evolution of that is, okay, fair enough. I can't send you directly to a sales page and sell you something to someone I don't know. Now I'm going to try to get your email address in exchange, or maybe just get their email address in exchange for nothing. I don't know. Maybe that was the next evolution. And then it was, I'm going to give you something in return for your email address. But now we're seeing that that's not working. So now the next step is, tell you what, I'm just going to give you value first and not even ask you for your email address. Okay, but the point here is that on that page that you send them to, you can pixel them. So you have that special, only one type of pixel code that you put onto that page. You put it there. Then when they, they've never heard of you before, they click on it, they go and read your article, they like it, they get to know you a little bit better, and boom, you've pixeled them. So now the second step is, then you can retarget them to a page where you try to collect their email address, because you've already had one touch point where you sort of warm them up a little bit. So the assumption here is that they've gone to your article, they read it, they liked it. They're going to be more likely to recognize you and your brand again when you show up again in their Facebook newsfeed or what have you. So that is one sort of strategy for taking cold traffic and warming it up and turning it into a lead. Okay, so that's one step, one pillar of the new Facebook ad strategy with respect to retargeting. Second sort of step is you take someone who's already a warm lead, someone who's already on your email list, and you push them along your funnel. So for example, how it applies to me in my business is, okay, maybe someone has visited the sign up page to sign up for my email list and hasn't yet taken the step. They haven't yet tried to sign up they haven't yet signed up for the email list. You can continually retarget them to get them to sign up for your email list. That's sort of, you're pushing them along and saying, hey, get it done. The next step is, okay, they've signed up for your email list, they're getting your stuff. Maybe they have visited your sales page, or maybe they haven't. So then you can start a campaign where you're retargeting them to say, hey, don't forget, I've got this great thing that I want to sell to you. And you can sort of say, you haven't seen this deal yet. You can structure the wording of the ad to say, hey, I see that you haven't seen this yet because this is awesome stuff. You're going to see blah, 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 whatever. You could try to, sell them on just going to the sales page in the first place. And then once they visit the sales page, you can have that same retargeting pixel on it. Then you know that they visited the website, and then boom, you can do the exact same strategy, retarget them and say, okay, hey, I've seen that you have, you saw my sales page, but you didn't take action. I understand life gets in the way. You must have just forgot about it or whatever, something must have come up. Don't forget about it. It's still here. You can check it out. So before I, continue going down this rabbit hole of this strategy, I'm going to stop and say, okay, that's sort of the main picture here. You're retargeting people to sort of try to push them through your funnel at every single step along your actual sales process, from never hearing about you before to making a sale. Okay, so there you go. That's my little quick tactic rundown, even though quick is probably not the word to use, but I'm going to flip it over to Carter now to pick his brains and see what he can talk about with respect to Facebook ads.
Facebook, yeah. So I'm right there with you. Facebook has become a lot more expensive to acquire leads on, but one of those reasons is I think there's still quality there. You look at it. I heard someone bring up a great point about this. People are complaining about that whole pay to play. And I was one of those people too, when you talked about the organic reach, which for those of you out there who aren't quite familiar with that term, that's when you have a group of your followers, people who have liked your brand, your page. It used to be you could post something and reach all of them. But then with it was actually the algorithm EdgeRank that Facebook came out with, where basically that took that away. And so now you have to pay to play, so to speak, to advertise to your own followers. And I was one of those like, oh, this is awful, blah, blah, blah. But someone brought up a really good point. They were like, you look at, if you were to advertise in a magazine or on the television or something like that, it's still astronomically more expensive. And not to mention, Facebook gives you something extremely, extremely valuable that those other medians do not. Facebook allows you to instantly see which piece of content, which ad that you're running is generating the most results. TV can't do that. Media can't do that. You can't mail out postcards and then all of a sudden say, hey, this one's working. You can, but it's going to cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars. Whereas Facebook, you can spend, $20 and figure out, okay, this one's outperforming 3-to-1 to our other ads running, and really invest, what you want to do with that media spend in that actual ad. So that's just beautiful, beautiful stuff there. The next thing that I want to talk about that I've been studying as it pertains not just to Facebook, but other platforms, and I think it's really, really relevant for this conversation. It's what is the native interaction for that platform? And I think we need to step back and ask ourselves that more when we post things. What you're saying on Twitter isn't necessarily going to be relevant for Facebook. So what are people looking for in Facebook? And if you look at the macro trends that are going on, Facebook now considers itself a mobile technology company. They're not even focused on desktop. So, those right column ads, they're not as relevant. And what are people doing during the day? If they're in the line waiting for a sandwich, if they're on the train commuting to work, if they're just trying to avoid work at the office, they're going through and just flipping their smartphones. They're looking at the news feed. So you got to figure out what type of ads, what type of content you're going to put in front of them that it fits the story of Facebook. it's something that is authentic and that they can, interact with. And I love you brought up, Trevor, the fact that you can advertise your content and send them to that, because that's something great. Like I love to scroll through and I see someone that I follow post a new piece of content, instantly I'm going over and reading it. Like that's a great way to interact on that platform. But so many times you see businesses, and I've made this mistake astronomically in the past, and I'm really shifting my thoughts around this. You immediately are going for the sell. You're immediately going for the hard sell. You're immediately saying, hey, click here for a $1 trial on my blah, blah, blah. And that's just not how the platform is working anymore. And I think it used to work a few, maybe 6 months, even a year ago, because there weren't as many advertisers on there. It was different. It was kind of like email marketing. You used to be able to get a 40% open rate 5 years ago. Now you're lucky if you get a 15%. So what I'm getting at is, for everyone listening, I would step back, and if you're interested in not only advertising but interacting on Facebook, ask how you can authentically do that and be a part of that platform versus just disrupting someone enough to get them to submit an email or something. Like, just put forth value and make it really feel like the flow that you see in your newsfeed.
Yeah, and I think the point you hit on there that resonates with me and that I've heard of in the past is to think about the platform and how it's used, right? Like Carter said, there's a difference between Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest. Every single one of these, I had a weird accent there. Every single one of these platforms, you see, people interact with them in different ways. So with Facebook, it's very much, I forget who it is that says this all the time, but they always say it. And every time they say it, I'm so impressed, because they must maintain this image in their head of, they say, my wife at 11:30 p.m. in bed on Facebook. Like, that is the avatar. That is the Facebook user, or like Carter said, in the lineup or whatever. But the one that this person has, it might even be from the Perpetual Traffic podcast. That's the image that he maintains in his head, is his wife in bed at 11:30 on Facebook. So exactly. Think about the mindset of that person in that position, right? Mm-hmm. Are they going to want, anyway? So you need to.
I want to talk about something else that comes.
Okay, go for it.
And this is something that I've made a ton of mistakes with, and it's not. Honestly, it's been like the last few months, which is so strange that this is really hitting home for me. But that's the fact that, like, you really do need to just over deliver with value, like to the point where it's so obnoxious that people are like, holy cow, how can I send you money because this is this is so valuable? And it's easy for me to say that now because business is good, money's coming in, I'm not worrying about bills being paid. And this time last year I would have been like, no, don't have time for that, don't have patience for that, can't figure out if that works, can't wait for that to materialize. So it's tough. I know it's tough to like balance that, but as soon as you can get to a point where you can deliver as much value as possible without having to see an immediate return, you're going to start building that competitive moat that the John Lee Dumas, type brands have, that Neil Patel, that the Andrew Warner of Mixergy type, they have that, because they're delivering this value over and over and over again. So when they finally do go for a sell or put out something that people can buy, people are like, holy cow, this guy's fantastic. I'll use another example. James Clear, a buddy of mine, jamesclear.com. I've referenced him many times on this podcast. Fantastic articles, and he writes like one a week. And very rarely does he ever ask for a sell or talk about a webinar or anything like that. But when he did, and this was like a month ago, I didn't even know what the topic was. And already I was like, I'm buying it. I don't care how much it costs. Like, if his stuff is this good consistently, I just want to reciprocate how much value I've gotten from him. He's doing a fantastic job of that. So if you can use Facebook in that manner where, and it doesn't have to be some extravagant 5,000 page article. It can be a useful image you found that's relevant to your community, or it could be a motivational quote that you came across that you were like, man, that stuck with me. Just deliver that value, and then when you finally do go for the sell, man, you're gonna love what happens.
Yeah, and that's what the case study that they did in Perpetual Traffic podcast. They compared it to this girl's other, I forget what her name, Betty Rocker, I think was her name, which is a funny name. I keep thinking Betty Crocker, but Betty Rocker had run these previous campaigns that were, semi-successful and okay or whatever, but then they switched to this sort of value-first approach with cold traffic, where they gave away these articles and paid to put these articles in front of people, and essentially didn't ask for an email address, didn't ask for anything. That was not the main focus of the article. The main focus was just to, help them out. And then later pixeled them and then retargeted them, et cetera, et cetera. That campaign, even though at the front end of it, they were dishing out cash and not seeing anything in return, by the end of that funnel, they were getting a higher ROI on their spend than the previous one, where they just tried to send cold traffic to a landing page where they tried to, get their email address or something like that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Offering value first really matters, because you can't think of, again, something I always try to think about whenever I'm doing marketing and talking to my audience and whatnot. You can't think of them as an audience. You can't think of them as numbers on a page, an email addresses.
People.
They're people. They're living, breathing human beings. Every single one of those 20, however many thousand email addresses I have are living, breathing human beings who have feelings, emotions, and can smell BS a mile away.
Yeah.
So,
and also look at the evolution of other media, because what we're talking about essentially is a media platform that people go to interact with. It's the same thing that the radio was, that the newspaper was, that the television was, right? So look at like television. Back in the day, they used to have like, this program is brought to you by such and such. That was it, It didn't really add any value though to the consumers that were watching. Then they transitioned to product placement and stuff inside the actual TV shows. And that was like a little bit more value because people could interact with the product in that format. And then they moved to commercials, which told these little 30-second stories, again, just going up the value ladder. And I mean, you look at every platform, like people have tons of success just being present there at first. And then it evolves into, okay, how can I deliver a little bit more value, and then more and more. It's just, it's so funny. Yeah,
totally. So now I know that Carter has to go in about 8 minutes. So I wanted to deliver on my previous promise that I was going to talk about lookalike audiences. If we can jump into that.
Yeah.
Very, very useful stuff. I just did that for my audience. You can create an audience of people to target with ads based on a very small subset of something else. So basically what you can do is you can upload your, let's say if you don't have very many customers, you can upload your email list. So you can upload a list of email addresses. You can even just copy paste the email addresses into the Facebook audiences when you go to audiences tab. Again, I don't really want to say exactly how to do it because they change it all the time, but it's probably you go to audiences, or you go to the ads platform, you go to audiences, and then you create an audience. And you create a custom audience is what they call it. You create a custom audience, and it's custom because you're taking the email addresses and you're pasting them in, or you're uploading a CSV file or something like that. And it's going to take those email addresses and try to match them to Facebook profiles. So as long as you can get 100 Facebook profiles from the same country, all from one country. Typically, it's the U.S. people target, but wherever your target market is, you get at least 100 Facebook profiles for your target country, and then from those 100 people, you can create a lookalike audience, and it starts at like 1.9 million people. So it's going to take the list of 100. At least 100, I should say. It could be much more. The more, the better. But it's going to take those 100 people and run some, magic juice that Facebook does to determine what all these 100 people or more have in common. And then it can create a lookalike audience for you. Now, with that lookalike audience, you can use that to use ads. You can advertise to that lookalike audience. I would never recommend advertising to 2 million people, way too many people. So you take the lookalike audience and you try to whittle it down in some way, shape, or form. You can use, by gender, by age, by demographic, by other demographic things, by behavior, by interest, by, you can really narrow it down, and then you can run split tests on it. You can try running a whole bunch of different of the same ad to a whole bunch of different segments of it, or of the lookalike audience and whatnot. Very valuable tool. But the most valuable, I believe, is to take your list of customers. And my list only just exceeded 100 Facebook profiles from the US of A. Finally, after however many years of sales, I finally have. And the problem is, I have way more than 100 customers, but they don't match up with Facebook profiles. That's
yeah.
So finally, I have a list that was more than 100 people that matched the Facebook profiles that were from the US. So I was finally able to create a lookalike audience based on my customers, not just my email subscribers, but my customers. So
That's
how valuable is that list going to be to my company? So if you can do that, if you have a list of customers, if it's clicking right now, if you're going, oh my God, I have that. I have email addresses of more than 100 people. Go try to create audience, custom audience, upload those email addresses, either copy paste in or through a CSV file, and then create the lookalike audience. If you don't have at least 100, it'll tell you. It says you don't have at least 100, so try again later. Frustrating as heck, I know, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So then, with those, like I said, then that becomes like your cold traffic. Think of those lookalike audiences. You should always think of those as cold traffic, people who've never heard of you before. And then you start the value cycle. This is where you start advertising and sending them to maybe, like I said, your best blog article or Facebook video ads. Again, we don't have a whole lot of time to talk about this, but
that's a whole other.
I'll say it really quickly. You can create a video ad, and when you can actually pixel people with a video ad. Did you know that, Carter?
I knew there was a way within the Google AdWords to retarget people who have seen your video. Is that what you're saying?
I'm talking about Facebook video though, not
Oh, no. I haven't ever experienced.
Facebook video ads. So native to Facebook, you upload a video and you can use it as an ad, which you can use to pixel people within the Facebook platform. So that means people who forget if someone watches more than 3 seconds or more than 5 seconds of your video, somewhere around there, if they watch more than X number of seconds of your video ad, you've pixeled them. So you can now retarget those people. So why that's so cool? They don't have to leave Facebook for them to get pixeled. They can stay within Facebook, which is much, much less friction, right?
Yeah, friction.
We Carter and I just both use the exact same hand signal there. It's much less friction to keep them on Facebook. So you can very rapidly build a list of pixeled people to retarget. So if you're looking for a way to get a warm audience in a fast way, upload a cool video, funny video, useful, emotional, something that really strikes some sort of chord, whether, like I said, it's emotional or useful. Upload something that will strike that chord, keep people watching it, and then boom, now you've got a list of people that you can retarget with ads that you can assume are already warmed up.
Sure.
So
that's awesome.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Real quick, book of the day, because this is very relevant.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Gary Vaynerchuk, jab, jab, right hook. If you are interested in some of the stuff we talked about, highly, highly suggest you check out his blog. His books are great, but they talk a lot about what we're discussing. And he is one of those guys. He knows how to deliver value over and over to the point where you just have raving fans. Pick up his read. I love his shout out to Gary V. I love the Ask Gary V show.
Yeah.
So we'll put a plug in there on our blog about that. But it's absolutely fantastic. Usually like 10, 15 minutes and so much insight. So
yeah, I follow Gary V on Facebook. And I always see his Ask Gary V shows come up in my feed, and I love watching them. He's hilarious.
Fantastic. Yeah.
He's such not down to earth. He's
authentic. He's genuine.
He's very authentic. He's very much himself. He's
on a curse, or he's gonna tell you how it is. If he doesn't like your question, like that's stupid, Yeah. So
I loved it. Anyways, awesome. Whatever. We can go on a rant about him another time. So, and then app of the week, I want to get this out. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but it's made a huge difference in my business, and I absolutely love it. The Sumo Me tools. I don't know if I've talked about those before, but God, they are so useful. Sumo Me, that's from the AppSumo people, I think. It's from Noah Kagan.
Noah Kagan.
Love the guy to death. The Sumo Me tool. So I just purchased there for $40 a month. You can get sort of their email package where you get an upgraded version. They have free tools. You can download all these tools for free, and they work they work fine. But you can't do like split testing with them, which I love. That's where the real value comes from. And you have less templates and stuff like that for the free versions. But I mean, you can just try it out for free. But I pay for the pro package. $40 a month gives you access to 4 different products. And I'll have to talk about in a future episode exactly how I'm implementing all 4 of those products together to blow out of the water my old signups, my old records for number of signups per day. So love it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So sumome.com, check it out. Totally worth it. I think it's just a WordPress plugin at this point, but hopefully he'll release one that you can use anywhere, because that'll be even more valuable. So there you go. Anything else that you want to talk about, Carter, before we?
I think that's all. That was good stuff.
Yeah, that was really quick. I know if you, we should probably do another episode on this, but for sure we'll keep on talking about all the Facebook stuff. Now that I'm going to get into the strategies that we already talked about, I'm going to be creating a campaign around the most useful one, which is taking people who visited my sales page, retargeting them and saying, hey, don't forget this offer expires. You can actually target people and say, when you build your custom audience, how long you want to keep them in that custom audience for. So for example, my offer is for 8 days. It's 8 days long. So when people visit my sales page, I can say, keep them in there for 8 days and advertise them to them for 8 days and 8 days only. So you can actually work in a little bit of urgency into your Facebook ads, which is huge. And it's only to the people who are super, super warm, almost hot leads, because they've visited your sales page already. So that's the most profitable of all these retargeting campaigns I've talked about. That's going to be the one that I'm going to be implementing ASAP, and then I can report back to you guys on how that went. So there you go.
Fantastic.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Go ahead, visit the coderstartup.com/41 to get the show notes for this episode, or flip yourselves over to Mr. Carter Johnson's website at...
Which one? Which one do you want to do?
Well, which one do you want to do, man?
We'll do that one. Yeah.
Which one?
We're doing mcarterjohnson.com.
mcarterjohnson.com.
Yeah, check out the blog. Got some good stuff on there for you guys.
He's always spitting it out like he's dropping knowledge bombs. That's what he does. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. As always, take care of yourselves and happy learning. Peace out.